VP make it happen, and PPD is sent packing. It's the final day of groups at TI9. Welcome to the fourth and final daily pod from New Meta for the group stages. We've finally done it. We've reached the end of the group stages, and the bracket for the main event is finalised. Joining me, Adam, for a duo daily pod. Hopefully the last duo, but you never know. But we've got things covered. How are you? How was your last day, mini day been?
It was great. Mini day meant I can see parts of every series because it started at 9 and went to 3 a.m. And that's when I was kind of petering out on the full days was about 3 a.m. So got to see a full slate and then go to sleep.
Yeah, and Sunday, so you can just lie in with no responsibilities because it's Sunday. So
yeah, feels good.
Yeah,
laying in on a Sunday.
Before we get to covering the actual games, just a rundown of how the groups have finished. Group A, LGD take top spot. We knew that already, although they don't drop any more games today. They draw a series with Alliance, so they are unbeaten in the series throughout groups. Team Secret, they finished second, much expected. Newbie, they come third after winning one game against Mineski today. That was enough to see them through on 9 points. Only one lost series throughout the groups. TNC exactly the same. Score of 2 wins, 5 draws and 1 loss. They, my dark horse pick by the way, still have upper bracket berth. Then the lower bracket teams, Alliance and Mineski, both on 8 points, followed by Team Liquid. Big disappointment and big surprise. Really haven't been clicking. They're on 6 points. And finally, Keen Gaming on 5 points. Rounding out the upper bracket teams from Group A. Chaos eliminated, we knew that yesterday. In Group B, OG, they remain top. Again, we knew that already. They, much like LGD, haven't lost a series in the group stages. VG Gaming are second on 11 points. Then EG, really looking comfortable in the end after a very scary day one. They're third. And VP, after being, I think, 7th at the end of yesterday, big recovery on the final day here. They go 1-1 against EG and then they 2-0 Fnatic, which is what they needed to overcome the 3 teams that finished just 1 game behind them, those being Infamous, Fnatic and Na'Vi. Na'Vi, I mean, Adam said it on the pod, I think yesterday, how bitterly disappointing it will be for them if they were, I believe, 7-3 or something.
They were 7-3, yeah, and then they lost 6 games in a row.
Yeah, that is just brutal.
All they needed to do was win one.
Yeah.
And they would have, I guess, forced like a playoff or something, or maybe tiebreakers.
Yeah. So Na'Vi, after starting so well, they finished 7th. And finally, Royal never give up. They bottom out the teams that make it to the main event, and that leaves NIP, who actually finished with the same record as Chaos in Group A, 0-3-5. Didn't win a series. They bow out. Sad to see PPD and the boys go, but that's the way it ended.
There was not very much drama when you look at the final standings, or when you, I guess it didn't really come down to any games at the end. Like, NIP needed to go 4-0 and then have some stuff happen, but they lost the very first game against Infamous, so it was like, okay, you're out.
Yeah.
And then I think about the only thing was VP winning those last 3 games because they lost the first game against EG, and it was like looking kind of iffy, and then they played pretty strong.
Yeah, definitely. There was no tiebreakers as well. I know last year there were a few tiebreakers, I believe, for upper bracket, lower bracket kind of stuff. So,
and VP Fnatic, I guess that was the final series.
Yes.
So that was one series that actually meant something.
Yeah, that last game actually. Yeah, that last game's huge. Decided who...
It was for upper bracket.
Yeah, man, and Fnatic now they find themselves coming up against Team Liquid in the lower bracket, best of 1. That is so brutal to go from upper bracket to Liquid 1 game for your tournament life. So VP will be super happy.
the most disappointed team has to be Alliance, right? They blew 2 Mega Creep leads, and they finished 1 game out of upper bracket.
Yeah, I'm sure, probably. It's hard
I mean, that newbie beat Alliance in a Mega, and they finished 1 game ahead. So, yeah, close your games.
Yeah, there'll be a lot of disappointed teams, like Alliance, like you said, not winning against Megas multiple occasions, and then Na'Vi 0-6. That's such a downward trajectory for them. It's interesting with Na'Vi. We'll just start there because why not?
Okay.
We said, I said in an earlier pod that they play certain heroes, particularly when they 2-0'd VP. They played 4 of the same heroes. It was AA, Earth Spirit, Axe, Razor. And particularly the Razor seemed like the linchpin of this strategy. They're the only team that will really go into it on a consistent basis. And then finally, on day 3, teams started banning the Razor and winning. And then in their series today, they got the Razor in both games and they still lost. Sure, it's against Vici Gaming, so definitely one of the stronger teams. But it's not good news for Na'Vi fans. I feel like their trajectory is very much downward. And they will face Mineski in a best of 1 in the lower bracket.
Should be good. A good wild game then, C versus CIS.
Yeah, I hope so. All the best of 1s are so tense. I believe they're all on the same day. They're just bashing out all of them tomorrow night. So we get all the best of 1s in one go.
And then one half of the best of 3s?
Yes, the top half. LGD, VP, and Vici TNC. Na'Vi, like I was saying, in their series against Vici Gaming, it was just comfortable for Vici in the end. Didn't really make them sweat in either game. It's one of those just classic, both games are just classic Dota. The lead goes up by 1k every, say, 3 minutes, and eventually they end, 35 minutes with like a 20k gold lead. That's just classic Dota right there.
Yeah, slowly roll the advantage, slowly choke the map.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Na'Vi went with Mars, and from what I've seen at the tournament, this is in the second game they went with Mars. From what I've seen in the tournament, Mars just has looked really underwhelming, I think. Teams that have sustain or saves, Mars is so reliant on that ultimate nuking a hero with those burst 3 spells, the ult, the God's Rebuke, and the Spear. If you can survive through that, it just seems like a poor hero, really. And Mars's kind of really have to itemize towards maximizing that ult with a blink, with a BKB. It's harder for a Mars to get away with doing some pipe, crimson, solar crest kind of build that's more well-rounded compared to some of the other offlaners, like a Centaur or even a Magnus. So I think Mars I was disappointed from what I saw of it today.
I don't think I've seen it win yet.
Yeah, I don't think I have either. It might have done. I can't remember. But
I've only seen it as a mid and a 3, and I think the mid version at least seemed a little more suited for pro.
Right.
It's a little more farm priority. You get all the big items like the Satanic and the Deso and stuff, and the Ags, so you're really putting out a lot of damage during the ult. But I haven't. Yeah, I still lost that game. So I don't know. And also, Gyrocopter's like really good against Mars. He doesn't necessarily care about hitting you face to face because he's got Rocket Barrage going, and he can just use the flak, still hit the Mars and hit everyone else, and then call down on top of like the Arena of Blood. It seems like his kit works out pretty well for Mars matchup.
I saw Keizu play a Mars against Secret, Secret versus Chaos, and Puppy had played Chen, and he had a really early mech, so he had Chen ult, mech, and he had level 4 favor. They try and blow him. He survives on 10%. They don't just try and blow him. They use a really good Mars on 4 heroes, plus, what's her name? Dark Willow ult. They Dark Willow on top. It's the dream Mars initiation. 4-man ult with the fear. Chen survives on, say, 10% HP. Mech, heal, Divine Favour on Zai's Leshrac. And Secret just back up to, say, 50% health. Pushing on 80% health. They turn, because Mars is now not a hero. And they just win. And that really, it just exemplified the problem with Mars. That if you can sustain through.
Between that and, like, Hand of God. I saw that fight. And then there's just, they were back up to full. And Chaos was down like 3 heroes. It's like, was there just a team fight here? Like, I don't understand. They blew all these ults, and they're actually just full health right now.
Yeah, that was rough. And Mars, like we said, he's played 9 games and won 1. So, not a successful hero to say the least at this TI. So, probably the biggest game of the day was one of the ones at the start. That being EG versus VP. The series ended up being split 1-1. Adam, I presume you caught both of these games?
Yes.
How were they? EG, similar, well, Storm Spirit switching sides, being on the victory side, winning side both times. Was there any...
Yeah, this was, the first game was just an absolute stomp on EG's part. They just played really well. The last pick, Quap, for VP, they kind of like, bully Sumail Storm out of the lane. Sumail got a lot out of the map still. You can go back in jungle. And just like the 4 heroes of Storm, ET, Enchantress, and then Crit, Pango was just making so much space for RTZ to just kind of AFK farm the Naga. And then they just kind of rolled them over.
Yeah, I saw game 1 and it was a really impressive culmination for EG. First of all, I was in the S4 Ench was so annoying for Alchemist once Ench gets level 6, and that's the same for a bunch of heroes, right? A lot of the melee position ones just get bullied by Ench. But EG did really well to collapse into the jungle, and Arteezy, by and large, wasn't even there. And they still kind of shut down the Alch reasonably well after the Radiance. Ramses did get a pretty fast Radiance timing, but after that, they shut them down reasonably well. And then, like you said, Sumail seemed to get bullied out of lane quite quickly, and yet was equal with no one or above him on net worth the entire game, which was really surprising, because I always feel like, oh man, against Queen of Pain, when I get bullied out of lane, it's like, it hurts me an awful lot more than it hurts Sumail, put it that way. They're just so efficient at farming in the jungle and stacking and all the rest of it. And Crit Pango. Gotta love that. So,
and it just, like, Sumail had, Bottle, Wand, Treads, Kaya, BKB at 20 minutes. And no one just basically had Bottle, Wand, Treads, Orchid. He was full, I guess he was about 2k ahead. I don't know. It's like the Orchid came out, it was too late. And then it's like, you have this Quap. What are you supposed to do? They didn't really have... It just felt like it was... I don't know. I'm rambling.
I thought Arteezy used Song of the Siren really well to disengage as well. A few key points in both games, because he played Naga in both.
Yeah, he was just like solo killing people too. Like, he does this cool thing where he kind of hides behind a tree, and then a support will walk up, and then all of a sudden 5 Nagas pop out from behind a tree and just like kill solo or something.
Yeah. Game 2 though, much better game, much more back and forth, and VP, crucially, as it turned out, coming away with the victory here.
This game was a razor's edge, and it almost came down to this really memey like mistake that Arteezy made, where they went on him top dire jungle area. He songs, barely gets out. It's kind of like around a rune fight, and he walks up behind a tree. He's got like 5% HP or something. TP's out. 0.1 seconds on the TP, he just like moves and cancels the TP.
Oh my goodness.
And then they think he's gone, and they're Radiant, so he's walking back down the Radiant top lane. And he's like, yeah, I'll just hit some jungle camps. around the shrine before that, and VP had set up a ward and they killed him. And that was like his first or second death. He was rolling before that, and then he kind of died there, and Ramses never died. And then he became an unkillable lifestealer.
Yeah, especially against... it's cool to see Ramses just man up against Arteezy in the later stages of the game. He was an absolute monster. His net worth was crazy, especially when you're going up against two heroes from Sumail and Arteezy, that being Gyro and Naga, that farmed so fast. And Ramses just... Yeah, like you say, he was the raid boss in this game. That was cool to watch.
Yeah, EG was definitely ahead in this game. This one was kind of a bit of... I wouldn't say it was a throw, but they were definitely like a 60-40 or maybe 65-35 from the Dota Plus. But all of their net worth was kind of situated on Arteezy and Sumail, and Virtus Pro was very good at killing EG S4 on the Sand King. So Sand King never really got anything comparatively to Pasha's Centaur. Like Sand King had Blink, Veil, Pipe, and Pasha had Crimson Guard, Pipe, Lotus Orb, Medallion, working on a Solar Crest. He's just way far ahead. And they just had to do these fights where they, die, and then S4 would have to buy back, and he was just not tanky, so he would die again. And yeah, it was really, really tough.
Roger,
big Lion plays, yeah.
Yeah, I was about to say, yeah. Yeah, Lions Roger was... Roger's Lion was really impressive.
Different, it was like different draft order, right? I think they first phased Naga this time, try and see if they could win with it again, and then that let VP pick Lion, and that gives you the mana drain plus Hex to instant kill illusions. So basically what would happen was Naga Siren would make the mirror images. Roger would kill two of them right off the bat. Solo would disrupt a third, and then you're kind of even on the illusions.
Yeah. NIP versus Infamous. Kind of a frustrating one. I know you were frustrated because I woke up this morning and saw in the chat where you're like, man, they pick Ace Meepo after they're already eliminated, question marks, but yeah, they do manage to take a game with the Meepo in the second of the game of the series after losing in 23 minutes in game one. Infamous picking Brood both times.
I just saw the stats.
Right.
They lost game one. I'm like, okay, I don't have to watch this stream anymore, and I went over to another stream because I was just sad.
I caught game two because it's a Meepo, so that's a game I'm probably going to pencil in.
Well, he went 21-6, so 20 kills, 1 death, 6 assists as a Meepo against Brood, Lesh, Tiny, and PL. It was like, damn, what a game! Yeah,
it was an interesting game. I thought I can't remember the Infamous players' names, but
Chris Luck or
Broodmother, was that Chris Luck?
Chris Luck.
Yeah, Chris Luck. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he played a really good Brood, considering he is against Meepo, and Meepo's a great matchup against Brood. It was an interesting... They basically just went all in with Meepo completely, and it worked out, because Fata was playing Wraith King, and he just went Pipe Shiva's Guard, so just no scaling at all. So they're finishing, and they're finishing now. Ace, it was a bit of a throwback. He went Blink Dagger, he went triple Wraithband Treads Blink, which is an old build. These days... The E-Blade first is by far the favoured build for a Meepo. But I think he went Blink because it gives you an easy kill on the PL if you can get on top of him. And that's the hero that's going to threaten Meepo's game in the long run. You're not particularly worried about a Leshrac when you're building Pipe on your Wraith King so early. Ordinarily you would be, but not here. And Broodmothers can never challenge a Meepo. So really, PL is the only scary hero, and so he goes an early Blink and tries to shut him down.
Yeah, looking at the items, 33 has Vlad's Crimson. Like you said, Fata has Pipe Shiva, and then they have PPDs, like Voodoo Restoration on Witch Doctor is very value for all the Meepos.
Yeah, so definitely, yeah.
It's kind of like all, we will protect the Meepo.
Yeah. It was scary at times, But yeah, they came out ahead in the end. So another really funny thing about this game was PPD's playing Witch Doctor, and there was at least 3 times where he got one shot by Brood. So Brood turns up uses Medallion on PPD and just has 100 spiderlings and just one-shots him. That was very funny, and PPD soaked up. He probably got a couple of levels on his battle points from all the tips he was getting from Infamous. Infamous are not shy to throw their tips about.
Nice. Well, I wish they had been a little more risky with their drafts throughout the tournament, because they have a Meepo player. I know Matumba Man, after they were eliminated, he casted the final series with not a NIP series, I forget who was, but he was with Capitalist and Blitz.
Yeah.
And he was saying that every team can play Meepo and Brood now. You're not really scared of cheesy picks, but I feel like Ace is one of the top Meepo players, so
yeah,
probably should have tried that maybe a little bit earlier if your back's against the wall, but who knows?
Yeah. Looking towards the second series of the day, Liquid TNC. 2-0 for TNC. You said that this game 1 was a fun one, or was it game 2? Both fun. Fun series.
They were both fun. I can't say much about like the first 50 minutes of the Liquid TNC game 1. Right. Liquid was already down Mega Creeps at that point, but it looked like TNC had a bit of an issue ending. Liquid ran a Drow strat, so they had Weehaw Drow, Storm Spirit for Miracle, Mind Control was Enchantress, GH CM, and then Kunkka support for Kuroki. So only one melee hero with a bunch of Drow aura. At level 25, Weehaw went the plus 25% precision aura instead of the cooldown reduction, so they are actually hitting even harder. And GH Classic carry CM have a 250 attack speed, and then at the end he had Force Staff, Blink, BKB, Deso, Bloodthorn. He was bopping pretty hard. And then Mind Control, probably one of the more absurd stats I've seen from the tournament. In that game as an Enchantress, he had 105,000 hero damage in a 70-minute game, which is...
That's obscene.
That's a nigh impossible amount of damage for someone like a single target hero like Enchantress. That's just... It was... They only had their tier 4s left. Basically, Gabby would come in on Lifestealer. He would rage, try and hit the tier 4 some. He had a heart and AC and a Abyssal Blade, so he was really tanky. And he would just tank a million auto attack right clicks, go down to about 15% HP, heart back up to full, and try again. So I think Gabby he soaked 205,000 damage on Lifestealer throughout the match, which was crazy. And AU Chin, classic, late game Chin. You remember he had 4K hero damage in that one game. Well, this time he had 6K hero damage in a 69-minute game, but he had way more gold. He had Vlad, Solar Crest, Lotus Orb, Crimson Guard, Holy Locket, Greaves. So,
Holy Locket!
Yeah, Holy Locket. That was great. He was healing a lot with Hand of God and Greaves and stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't know how Liquid got that far behind where they were against Megas, but it was very entertaining to watch the auto attacks and the late game Drow stuff. That was fun, but they lost.
Yeah, and they lose again to TNC in the second game.
That game too, that Liquid looked absolutely sloppy. I don't know if they were just tired. They knew they couldn't get top in the group, or they couldn't get upper bracket after that probably. But yeah, they looked so sloppy. They last pick 22 Weehaw Pangolier, and he finished 3, 12, and 11. He died 12 times on Pango.
Can't be winning games when cores are dying 12 times, that's for sure.
Also, his Pango build is really weird. He doesn't get a Javelin. So he just goes Arcane Boots, diffusal blade. So I'd be curious to hear why you skip the javelin. It seems like a good power spike for not a lot of gold.
Yeah, javelin's a crazy item, I think, at the moment. You see a lot of times on heroes with Wind Ranger or indeed Pango, they'll get a javelin and just lock it and just have a casual javelin for a lot of the game, just because of how much value it gives to the super short spike of physical attacks.
Mm-hmm.
And you mentioned stellar performance from Tim's Earthshaker.
Yeah.
Tim's God.
This is probably the game of the day if you just want to see highlight plays.
Right.
Tim's had about 3 or 4 really clippable, like Twitch clip quality plays in this game on his Earthshaker. It's like he lived in, I think the caster was saying, like he was in Miracle's head. Like he knew where he was going to be. Miracle was pretty greedy on almost getting out, and then he's like, I'm just going to take one more camp before I TP away. And he takes the camp, and then here comes this Blink Earthshaker to kill an Earth Spirit. And then he immediately goes mid, and he kills Weehaw. I don't even know how he gets mid that fast. Okay, he has bots. That's probably what it was, because it's like, how is this Earthshaker all over the map? Really nice coordination between AU on AA and Tim's on Earthshaker, because I feel like it's really hard to get AA blasts, especially close range AA blasts on Earth Spirit and Pangolier, but they were just the two of them were killing those heroes like over and over again.
Yeah.
And yeah, just like the lockdown and then the AA blast follow up. And then Tim's had another really sick play where Pango almost got out again. And he jumps into the dire top jungle, like kind of where you would put a Tinker Ward. He jumps into those trees with his W, so he doesn't go very far. But Earthshaker doesn't have any vision, so he places a sentry for the vision, just for like that quick.
I saw that play. Yeah,
and then just Yules his Weehaw, which is actually better than killing him there, because they were trying to take the base, and so he had no TP to get back, and he was already kind of half health, so he just had to waddle back in shame.
Yeah. Another series in that second set of the day, Secret Chaos. Secret, very comfortable game 1, 20 minutes, not much to read into there. Mid 1 Viper, mildly interesting hero pick. And again, that was the one we talked about earlier where KZ played Mars and they just completely out-sustained and won super comfortably. Second game, though, Chaos win. It was a Techies pick from Puppy, the first of 2 Techies picks of the day, with Jerax picking up the hero later. Cool heroes on display here. Techies 5, Zai playing a Legion Commander, Yapsor playing Invoker, and Invoker is now just firmly in the 4 pool, with FY picking it today as well. So that's, I think 4 teams have picked Invoker, position 4 now. And a Faded played a Tinker, very impressive. And Matumba played a Visage Core, which is, I think, the first time Core Visage has come out of this tournament. 30 minutes, not a particularly competitive game. Puppy had more last hits and net worth than Zai and Yapsor. I don't think that will be repeated, because I think
maybe they purposely made it look bad. You never know.
Maybe, yeah. Continue to hide this strat.
Imagine, what a weird lineup, right? If you were in a pub and your 5 position was a Techies and your 4 was an Invoker, and you had a 3 Legion Commander, you'd be like, I'd be livid. I don't want to play this game. Like, this is terrible. And then you have mid Jakiro, safe lane Slark. I don't know what that support combo is supposed to do, but I know it was intriguing.
Secret things, eh? That you have a Jakiro that's mid, a Techies that's 5, Invoker that's 4. What?
Yeah.
But Chaos get the win in the end. They had a dirty push strat. They didn't want to face late game Techies, so they just go Timbersaw Visage and just run up and end the game before the half an hour mark. So that was good for them, even though they were already eliminated. LGD Alliance split the series 1-1. Alliance with CM, Bristleback and Storm Spirit in both games, although the Bristle changing hands between the games. Position 5 Bristleback, Adam. In the pool?
Yeah.
In the pool? Out of the pool?
That was, I think, so going to game 1, Alliance had a lot of success with the Bristleback, and then they picked it again, and then it got countered, and then they were like, oh no, what do we have? They still had last pick, or what are we going to do? And they just switched the Bristol over to 5 position, try and make it work, and it didn't work. And Sanio ended up being 1-13-5 on the 5 position Bristol, and he had his item build was 3 bracers and a tranquil boot. So
yikes.
it was bad. I also saw the skill build. He didn't get any in Bristleback. That kind of makes sense. You want to just have the goo and the quill stacks, but then he would try. This game was a clown fiesta. They were like really far behind, so then it seemed like they just had heroes in all 3 lanes just trying to cut and like push and just try and make space, so people were dying all over the place, and then Sandy would just basically respawn, run out somewhere else, push and drag the wave to behind the enemy tier 2s, and then just die and just repeat. Yeah, it was tough.
Yeah, I don't think we'll be seeing the position 5 Bristol again, but Alliance...
Yeah, I mean, they picked Bristol, and then PSG LGD picked Void, and then Timbersaw. And they picked Bristol Axe, and then the Timbersaw came and was like, why? You just like counterpicked. You pick Bristol already, and then you pick Axe, and like you're just asking for the Timber, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Tough.
Final series of that second set, Newbie versus Mineski. I don't know if you caught much of this. I didn't, but I've looked at the game since, and it's interesting how similar they look. Game 1 and 2 just reversed. Very low scoring games. The first game, the Mineski win, just 20 kills to 8, and the second one, 28 kills to 7, this time in Newbie's favour. Sort of, did they just build sort of push strat and just sat behind a Wraith King with Radiance, and then in the second game, similar sort of thing, but with UR and Alchemist instead, and then just won. Did you catch much of these games? Anything of note? Or?
Game 1, Moon played a really good Tinker, and they had Beastmaster Tinker, right? So they just had really nice, just TP on the Hawk.
Yeah, that's so nice.
Stuff. And I mean, I would not want to be UR in that game as a Sven against a Tinker. You just get lasered over and over, and then what are you supposed to do? Like, you get one period of time when your BKB's up and God's Strength to make something happen, and after that, you're not going to hit anyone ever again. Yeah,
and especially with a Shadow Demon, just disrupts whoever you go on, and it's so hard to get to the Shadow Demon when the rest of your teams, you've got Omni Knight Ogre.
Yeah, and it was a mid Leshrac, CCNC, so it was another 4-position Invoker.
Yeah, the MSS special.
It looks kind of weak when you're behind to be 8, to be honest, but...
Yeah. Well, this is the thing. Mineski picked the 4-position Invoker in their next game. Raging Potato, 4 Invoker. So actually that is 5 teams. That's 5 teams, right? So Mineski, Newbie, LGD, OG, Secret. There you go.
Has OG teams. Played it as a 4?
Yeah, Jerax played it on day 1.
Okay, because they also played it today as a mid. Thompson played it.
Thompson. Also, no one's played a fair bit of mid Invoker as well. But I feel like it's more popular as a 4 almost for a lot of the teams.
So this was a newbie game 2. This was a 4-position Axe, a new meta podcast staple.
Yeah.
So that was a really cool game because of they had Ravage, and then they had Blink Call from a 4, which is really sick, and then they had Concoction done after that, and UR was gifting Ags, so he gave one to CCNC, so they had like a second Ravage on Storm Spirit, right? Storm Spirit Ags. So pretty cool. Felt really bad for when you're like Death Prophet and Wraith King on Mineski, they go BKBs, right? And then this 4-position blinks in during your BKB and calls you. And you just get your BKB ruined.
Yeah, that is rough for sure. Also, another thing that's rough is, am I right in thinking that if Newbie had won both of their games, they'd be up a bracket? Oh, they're already up a bracket.
No, Newbie,
yeah, they're comfortable. Yeah.
They needed to win that game 2.
Right.
That game 2, where they won put them at 9 points. Otherwise, there would have been a 3-way tie at 8 and probably playoffs.
No, Mineski would have been on 9 points if they'd won.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right.
So that's actually a huge game too, though.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know if they knew that at the time. I think they just knew because of how the way I think Alliance was playing still and all that stuff. They just knew that. I think Newbie had to win one game today.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly.
Yeah, I think that's right. Also, I love the way that Alliance need one win to secure upper bracket, and they turn to the position 5 Bristleback. So
I think they were forced. I think.
Yeah. It wasn't a pocket strat. Yeah, they were forced. They
blew the draft and oh no.
Yeah. I'm just imagining, say, the draft's happening, and Mickey, he knows he's not drafting. He's I'm just going to pop to the bathroom before the end of this draft. Comes back and he's like, wait a second, we've got Axe Bristleback against a Timbersaw? And Insania's like, yeah, I've messed up. I'm sorry, lads. It's going to be a tough one. I'll take the Bristleback. I'll tank the Bristleback this game.
And his morphling that game it was a little suspect. He got caught out a lot with not casting attribute shift strength. So it was just kind of over. Pretty cool, Ame Void from the tree fog casted Chrono, so he didn't time walk in.
Right, I see, yeah.
Because if you time walk in, he's going to get off the strength shift. So he was just hiding in the trees and popped him from the trees with the Chrono and just killed him on 200 health or something. It was pretty funny.
Yeah, that's cool. Man, imagine a morph where you could attribute strength while stunned. I can't believe that was ever in the game. Anyway.
Yeah.
Final series of the day. OG Vici, I watched game 2. I know in game 1 they did some weird stuff with Techies, Batrider, and Monkey King all... Well, actually, Batrider has been picked a lot. It's just day 1 where
5 Batrider.
5 Batrider, yeah. Pretty clowny.
4 Techies. I watched that entire game from DY's perspective on Abaddon.
Oh, wow.
And the client, I was just...
Was that a worthwhile watch? Do you feel enlightened? Were you ready to play some Abaddon?
It was fun. I mean, Abaddon... They'd already picked Abaddon because OG had picked Batrider. Right. But then Abaddon ends up being very sick against Techies because you can just walk through the mines.
Yeah.
DY had, I think he Quelling Bladed Thompson 4 times during that game on Monkey King. He's like, damn, this guy's sick at the Quelling Blade cuts.
Yeah. Game 2 was really a bit of a weird one because, well, first of all, Jerax Wyvern, I think that's the first Wyvern of the tournament. And it looked good here because they're against Chrono, and Wyvern's always been excellent against Chrono. It doesn't matter if the hero's good or bad at anything else. In this game, that was just enough. Cold Embracing whoever they go on, which 9 times out of 10 in this game was Anna on the gyrocopter. So it got to a point in the game where Paparazzi would Chrono Anna, they would Cold Embrace Anna, then when the Cold Embrace ended, they would Guardian Angel, and it was just so grim. They couldn't do any damage, really, it seemed like, near the end. Although I will say that Vici played really bad in this game, especially Paparazzi. They weren't at 100%, there's no doubt about it. They were just making weird plays that just weren't working, and I think they just... After game 1, it felt like a bit of a pub. So...
Yeah, that was I gotta say, because since Wyvern hadn't been picked in a while, when that fight happened that you talked about, where he comes, they're pushing high ground, OG is, and Paparazzi Chronos, and he gets Cold Embrace, and I'm he's not taking any damage. Why isn't he taking... I was so confused. It's is Heavenly Grace that strong? Did Anna pop Satanic? Because he had Ag Satanic, right? And you can still lifesteal with the side gunner. Is he really just lifestealing that Sol off? I'm oh, wait. He just has Cold Embrace. Because Gyro, I will say, Gyro looks very strange when he has Heavenly Grace and Alacrity on him. He does not, he's not the same color, and Heavenly Grace makes him the same color as Cold Embrace, so I couldn't figure it out. But then, it's like you said, people were, you buy a what's the item, the combo breaker, Aeon disc. Like, why buy an Aeon disc when you just have a Wyvern on your team? Like, a great save.
It looked really cool early in the game for Vici because Void actually, I believe he went Mask of Madness, BKB Nullifier. He got a really early null. I'm looking at really early null.
That's to get rid of Heavenly, or get not Heavenly Grace, GA. But it will get rid of GA. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was really cool to see. But in the end, it wasn't enough, and OG just had too many saves. Also, the Cold Embrace protects you from Tiny Ags, and Tiny Ags was really the only thing VG had going for them this game. Or you got a really cool Ultra Kill, because the AoE is huge. So if heroes clump up, especially Grimstroke, especially ET Wyvern, and Invoker's not a particularly tanky hero in terms of raw HP. Or he just got an easy triple kill with one tree throw with the Ags, so
yeah.
That was cool.
They had 3 Ghost Scepters on OG.
Yeah.
Invoker, Omni Knight, and Elder Titan all had Ghost Scepters.
Out of the 3 series that I haven't talked about, VP, Fnatic, EG, NIP, RNG Infamous, which of them was your favourite, or which do you think is the most worth talking about?
I don't think I saw a little of VP Fnatic, but not a ton.
Right.
Infamous RNG I watched none of, but I will say that we came very close to having a game end before 15 minutes.
Yeah.
But our 15-20 is still alive. It was 15:08, and I believe there was a core Visage in that game. No, that was a 4-position Visage. So, yeah, Shadow Fiend Visage, I guess, was enough to just end the game in 15 minutes. But our predictions are still live. So I guess that leaves EG Nip.
Yep.
And so I think Nip was kind of checked out, especially game 2. They looked real, even though the kill score was better, it was just kind of everyone was running around killing each other on EG as well.
Sort of thing.
Yeah, it was really pub Dota. But the game 1, what was really funny was EG had a Beastmaster, so S4 was off lane. He kind of got left solo, and so there was a Lich Jug for Nip, and Peter just zoned out S4 to where I think about 6 minutes into the game, S4 had 1 last hit and 2 denies, and the Juggernaut had like 30 last hits and 25 denies or something stupid. And it didn't matter. They still lost 37-12, but it was really funny. Just the casters got really excited once S4 killed 2 little centaur creeps. He went up to 3 last hits from 1. They're like, he's done it.
When I watched the lower teams play, or the less successful teams play, this is particularly the case. Secret versus Chaos, it was the most obvious, but I imagine it's similar in a matchup like NIP versus EG. They can hold their own in the lanes, but when the laning stage breaks up, the better team just uses the increased number of variables in the game, because when you're in the lanes, there's only so many things you can do. Spells are low level, heroes can't move around the map quickly, TPs are quite straightforward to follow, who's TP'd where, who's available to TP, all of that stuff. When that breaks up and there's way more going on and way more possibilities, the better teams just seem so much more comfortable, and they seem to always find ways to win fights and play in the right area of the map and things like that.
Nip is just kind of a conundrum because they were ahead. I mean, yes, they ended 3-13 on game score. They had to have had a chance or a lead in over half of the games they played, and then they would just fall apart. So I don't. And then they had a lot of other games where it seemed they would lose in about 28 minutes, and they would have 8 kills, and that would just a classic.
Yeah,
that seemed to be their modus operandi. It's we're going to lose in 25 minutes, and we're going to kill 8 heroes, and we'll just get rolled. Either that, or we're going to come out with the lead, and then things are going to fall apart.
Yeah, let's take a look ahead to the bracket now that it's finalised before we wrap up this pod. The first thing that struck me is how the upper bracket is basically exactly the same as last year, other than Vici Gaming versus TNC. LGD versus VP again, Secret versus EG again, OG versus Newbie again. I mean, Newbie, 2 different players, but you are MSS and Snaking the same. Kind of crazy that could happen two seasons in a row. What things are you looking forward to most about the main event now that we know the bracket?
I don't know if these are going to go any differently. Like, I could see LGD beating VP, Secret beating... Did EG beat Secret last time?
EG beat Secret. So
yeah, okay. So I could see Team Secret moving on, and then OG probably beats Newbie. I don't know. It's like a year later, and it's almost the same.
Yeah, it is interesting. It's a lot of China in the top, and then the Western teams in the bottom.
I could see Liquid like getting bounced out right off the bat to Fnatic.
That's such a scary best of one. Fnatic and Liquid are both much more all-star lineups, star-studded lineups than the rest of the lower bracket teams. So are those lower bracket games, man, it's so hard to call. Alliance, RNG, that I could see that going either way. If RNG spike a good game, they've looked really good. Alliance, I'd say, have been more consistent, but RNG have played some good wins. They won 2 of their series in the group stage. That is impressive. So
I would be I think VP LGD has the scariest if they lose. They have to play against Alliance or RNG. I think that's kind of scary.
Yeah, I'd say so.
I think OG Newbie against Infamous or Keen. You can always, like, Infamous can have a wild game, pick Kunko or Brood or something, but I feel like you're relatively safe in that one. Same with Navi Mineski coming out against Secret or EG.
I'd say, that's the danger zone, is that Alliance, RNG, probably.
Alliance, RNG, and then I guess Liquid if they put it together.
Yeah, they just look so bad, though, like you've been saying. I mean, it's hard to imagine them winning a best of 3 against Vici. I could see TNC losing a best of 3 to Fnatic, though, just because it's SEA, DOTA, you don't know what's going to happen. I could see that.
Is it safe to say that Liquid shouldn't have kicked Matu? That they probably would have finished better if they just stuck it through?
It's so hard to say, but I mean, you would expect them to get upper bracket with Matu, surely?
I guess they didn't think they could have won, so it wasn't worth it, but they could have gotten a nice payday.
Yeah, certainly something to be considered. Secret EG, I think, is for me, the marquee matchup. VP, LGD also, but Secret EG, that's just always a treat to watch that. Especially after I watched the best of 5 live at Birmingham, which was a lot of really cool games. That's definitely the one I penciled in.
I want to see Newbie OG.
Yeah, so do I. That should be exciting. Newbie have looked good. They've definitely looked good.
Yeah, the great NA Hope. The actual NA Hope. I mean, EG is an NA org, but they really only have one American player. So,
yeah,
just out of surely pure nationalism, I just want a Newbie to do well.
Yeah, I mean that's too close to home for me. The only patriotic thing I can cheer for is OD casting the final. That's it. That's all I've got. So that's us done for the group stages, and we've got a day off along with the players. We can perhaps play a pub or 2 and just chill out on a Monday before coming back for all of the lower bracket games. Vici TNC and LGD VP. That's likely to be a long day. Probably the longest day of the main event, just because the gap in between the best of 1s is going to be much longer than the gaps between game 1 and 2 of best of 3s, and obviously it's best of 3s from there on out after those lower bracket games. Join us again Tuesday